Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more waterfowl patterning. And I've got a pretty interesting idea or combination that I want to try out here today, and it might work. It might not work. I really don't know, but it's not necessarily the combination I intended on trying. But after seeing the last test we did yesterday with this setup, I kind of want to see if it can back itself up or not, if that makes any sense. Because yesterday's combo seemed to work out pretty well. So maybe today's might work as well. So for the shell I've got here today, I brought out some more of the Kent Fasteel 2.0 loads. Now these have been kind of mediocre, good enough I guess you could call them, but definitely not anything I'd call super impressive so far. They are a 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, ounce and a 1/16 of steel BB, moving about 1550 feet per second, so they claim. But as for why I wanted to bring these out again and test them is because they are a BB load. And if you saw yesterday's video, the setup we're about to try did pretty well with BBs yesterday. So can it do well with steel BB as well? And speaking about that setup here, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag with this choke, which is a pretty interesting concept here. This is the stock turkey full choke for the gun. It's a 710 constriction, so as for 12 gauge is concerned, definitely not super tight, but not super open either. It's kind of middle of the range. But these 835s are overboard shotguns, so this is a little bit on the tighter end for this specific shotgun. But it worked yesterday really well with lead BB, so what can it do with steel BB? And yes, for those asking, this choke is steel certified, so we're perfectly fine there. So as for the test, everything is set up the same as always. I have the big sheet of paper down there at 40 yards with a duck target on it. I also have the chronograph, so we'll be able to get our speed and how close it is to their box claim. So let's get you guys set up with a view of the target, and I'll head up and take our shot, and then we'll look at our performance and see how well it actually did. Again, I really don't know what to expect exactly. It might work, it might not work. I really don't know, but let's go over here and shoot around and see what actually happens. Okay, so that shell gave us 1563 through the chronograph. The box is claiming 1550, so yeah, we're right where they're saying we should be. And even though it is steel, and steel doesn't quite hit as hard as lead does, 1563 for a load of steel BBs would absolutely carry enough energy downrange out to 40 yards. So everything looks pretty good up here as far as the numbers go, but how did they actually shoot down range? Let's go down and take a look. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. Now, we do have a dead duck or goose or whatever would have been right there. There is one right through the head area and several more through the body, along with a few through the wings. So, absolutely, dead duck, dead goose. We might have been just a touch high on the overall pattern here, but this is pretty interesting here as far as pattern goes, I'd say. On one hand, it kind of looks a little bit too tight because our main area of the pattern is right about condensed into that area right there. So overall looks pretty tight, but on the other hand, it doesn't necessarily look super even or uniform either. It's kind of weird or hard to describe what I'm seeing here in person, and I'm hoping it's coming across in the camera. We do see a pretty condensed area with a lot of shot in it up here, but there are some definite larger gaps and voids and little strings throughout it facing some different directions here. It just doesn't look super uniform, but it doesn't look terrible either at the same time. Now, of course, it is a load of BBs, so you're not going to get near as many pellets as you would in a load of number 2s or number 4s or something like that. So that definitely plays into it somewhat. You just don't have a ton of extra shot to fill in all those little gaps and voids. So kind of a mixed bag on this one. I don't really know how I feel about it. It's a little bit on the tight side, but a little bit on the not so uniform side either. I absolutely would not call it a terrible pattern whatsoever, but it's kind of not the most absolutely perfect steel BB pattern either. I don't know, maybe I'm just being really picky about it. So I guess I'll just leave this one up to you guys to make the decision. Do you think it looks pretty good? Do you think it's kind of middle of the road? Do you think it's not something you might want to hunt with? I don't know. Let me know y'all's thoughts and opinions about it, I suppose. But at the end of the day, it would absolutely do the job for you. Okay, and here's the wad out of that shell. And as you can see, not really anything too special. It did open up not absolutely perfectly even, but not too terrible either. Now, I think that 710 constriction is probably about the limit for these. It's probably hard to show on camera, but you can see just the very start of some tiny little pinholes just starting to show up in a couple of these dimples. Definitely not anything I'm too concerned about, but it is something to take note of at the very least, I guess. But as for the rest of the wad, looks pretty good, about average. Not really anything too special to see, I'd say, on this one. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? It's definitely not terrible whatsoever, and it would absolutely do the job for whatever you would need it to do. But it is a little bit on the tighter side, and not absolutely perfectly even or consistent either. Definitely not terrible again, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit picky about it, but let me know what you think about it. Does that look pretty good to you? Is that something you would use? Or is that a little bit too tight or not quite the perfect pattern that you might be looking for? I don't know. Leave all your thoughts about it in the comments and let me know what your opinion is about it. And with that being said, I've got a bunch more stuff to film for y'all, so stay tuned. We've got plenty more coming. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested, but I'm going to get back to the testing for y'all, so I'll see y'all in the next one.